You said that this episode would be much more fun to recap because it would be over after this one. Now I would be in a better mood. I'm not in a better mood after watching whatever the hell I just watched. That was stupid. There should have been one part. I've never said that. We don't need 2 parts, let alone 3 parts. And now I'm starting an episode off with a rant.
I lied.
Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows. Bros and shows. Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bros and Shows. I'm your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the conniving Magoots. Dirty liar. What's up, dude?
I lied for your own betterment, to be fair. I was trying to wish it into existence, but there is a stronger, more powerful force out there, and it is the negativity that surrounds RHOBH.
It's just crazy, dude.
It's so bad, dude.
Like, I was scrolling on my phone, and then I'm like, I can't because I have to take notes. It was just another 58 minutes, by the way, of nonsense.
It was too frustrating to watch all of that, and I do think we get a bad rap. So let's just do this right now.
Okay.
We get a really bad rap whenever we don't like something, whenever we're looking at something or trying to recap it and we get frustrated because it's not good.
Right.
They're like, oh, these guys just hate the show. Like, what's the point in listening to the podcast? I'm going to try to paint a picture for everybody listening that feels that way.
Okay.
We have to watch this show with the hope that there's stuff to talk about.
Right.
And unfortunately for this show and this reunion in particular, the things that we have to talk about, there is stuff to talk about, but it's mostly us being negative on the cast. If we got this the whole season, it would have been a little bit better. Erika, I'm looking at you. You always show up at reunions. There's so much there. You could bring so much to the table during the season, and you just don't. And then you show up at the reunion and you go on like a fucking 10-minute conversation about Tom and about your family and about your life and your son who, we're going to respect his privacy, fine, whatever. But you bring so much to the table as a person, and you seem like you have so much energy and you've got so much to show us, and you just don't.
No.
And it's just annoying. And then all the other things, I don't care if we have bad takes on what we think is going to happen or what we thought was going to happen or anything that we think should have happened during this reunion. It doesn't really matter because this show has been in such a stale state.
Yeah, it's a
6
stale
years.
Ritz cracker.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's an insult to stale Ritz crackers.
It is. Yeah. Sometimes that's good.
I agree. It's just blah. It's just blah. And I know, I love my comments, or those comments are my favorite. When it's like, well, just turn it off then. It's like, first off.
I love the idea that you just said my comments
My
too. So I immediately go, Steele's got burner, and he's commenting on our videos saying, just turn it off.
Yeah, that's me, by
To
the way.
us.
That's me, just talking shit. No, it's like you read these comments, and people are like, well, just turn it off. Don't watch. It's like, we have to.
We have to.
It's our job. 1, 2.
We would get way more bad comments if we didn't cover the third part. If we
Correct.
just stopped after last episode, we're not getting anything. We're not getting anywhere. We're not doing anything. We already did. Didn't we do an episode? Or was that RHOBH? That we did an episode on that we're like, there's nothing here. Let's just
we
talk
didn't
about how we
talk
fix
about
it.
Yeah, we literally did a whole episode of that was just how to fix this show. And not that we're the end all be all, we have great ideas. It's just the fact that the product we're seeing isn't good. Our job's to comment on it. And jobs aside, we like these shows.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we got into this. So seeing a show like Beverly Hills, which is supposed to be the upper echelon, be where it's at right now, we have a lot to say about it. So
There's also, look, this isn't me tooting our horns here.
you tooting now?
There is a possibility that we can influence some change.
I don't think so.
Well, I'm only referencing one thing. I did see that Jeremiah posted a comment, only because Queens of Bravo reposted something that Jeremiah posted.
Oh, nice.
Clicked on it, looked at it. First comment underneath, you should really listen to the Brav Bros talk about Southern Charm.
Hey.
So there are people out there that will do the dirty work, if you want to call it that, for us. Comment on things. We're always getting tagged with Andy. Like, listen to this. This is crazy. This is what we have to change. So maybe there is just a morsel of possibility.
No, because Kyle Richards is on the show.
I know.
So it's going to stay the same. The only thing I liked about this episode is watching Garcelle finally get fed up. And you can watch it on the couch happen. And it just that's how I felt.
I have a spin on that a bit.
That's fine.
Yeah. And look, here's the thing. even my take on, I don't even want to call it a take. I'm going to say it's a spin because even if my spin is correct, it impacts absolutely nothing. So
Nope.
and that's the problem with this show. We can rant and rave all we want about Erika should do more, Kyle should do more. Kyle needs to stop producing the show. Dorit, I fully believe this with my entire heart. If she ever gets first chair again, I'm not watching the reunion.
No, it was
She has too much
brutal,
power.
dude. Way too much power.
There's
way too
something
much
about
ego.
her being able to turn to the right and only see Andy instead of seeing another person that gives her, for whatever reason, more oomph. Like, I need to talk more.
Yeah.
No. Nobody has ever told Dorit that she needs to talk more.
No, dude, this was like watching somebody get a taste of power and she went off the rails. This was her worst episode, I thought. Like the interjections are ridiculous. Her yelling at Garcelle as she's walking away, that's very unprofessional. Shut up.
But that is the duplicity of these shows.
Right?
And that's what I hate the most too, is when that happens, like, all right, we're all good, we're all done, whatever. Call it a fourth wall break when Kyle says at the end, like, this is what we do. Like, you want people to smile at you, but like nobody's excited to be here. We're all here to unpack our shit. We have to get through it, all of us together, and then we can just be happy afterwards. I get that part of it, but Dorit yelling to Garcelle, that's unprofessional, is ludicrous.
Comical. It's a comical approach, but you know what? Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into this so we can put RHOBH to bed. And hopefully they fucking reboot it. I don't care if you bring some people back. I'm cool with that. As we've seen in Atlanta, there is a way forward with that method. I'm fine if you want to just add in some new pieces, but there needs to be a drastic overhaul for entertainment value. Don't look at the ratings, which is impossible to say to a network. Don't look at the ratings. I get it. The show's doing well from a rating standpoint, but hate watching only lasts for so long. Right? I don't think they have another 2 seasons of hate watching.
There is a chance, too, because... And there's not nearly as many people that are ragging on RHOBH online saying that this sucks and they need to reboot it. There should be a lot more. For whatever reason, people are just, like, taking it for what it is. And they didn't do that with Roni.
No.
The end of Roni's run with all of those women, and yeah, obviously, the nail in the coffin was Bethany leaving anyway. But there was still something there, and they had really high ratings, but... people online were saying you need to reboot the show, and they did.
They did reboot it. That's why I'm saying let's not do a full recast, but do something to switch this show up and bring the entertainment back to Beverly Hills.
I still think my Fox Force 5 show is probably the best idea. It's the only idea in my mind. Unknowns, nope, doesn't work. We just watched that in Roni. Trying to retool the cast that you already have, nope. They're just going to turn on Sutton and whoever else you put in there who's going to feel bad for Sutton, and we've watched that for 5 seasons now. We're done with it. The only thing that makes sense is having them turn on each other because that's fun.
I agree. I'm clipping that today, by the way. I'm putting it. I was waiting.
You can still put it out.
That's what I was waiting for Beverly Hills to be relevant again, and then put it out.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
cool.
Banana. Let's dive in. We get Sutton and Dorit at the end of that conversation. Her having a superiority complex and quote unquote buying people, as Dorit says, which is a baseless claim.
Mm-hmm.
And Tilly goes to bat for her. She's like, I don't think she's ever bought anybody. And multiple people say she's generous.
We didn't spend enough time on this.
I agree.
For all of the nonsense that we had to go through in 58 minutes, why didn't we ask Dorit, what do you mean? Say somebody specific. Sutton asked her twice. She refused to answer the question. Garcelle's completely checked out. Fine, whatever. But there was nothing there. Like you said, it was a baseless claim. Why didn't Andy push a little bit more? They just kind of left it alone. A lot of the things with Dorit and Sutton, when we get through it, at the very end, you can tell that everybody's like, we're not getting anywhere. They're not going to be friends. They're not going to agree. Let's just move on. There's
that's
no point.
not the right approach.
It's not. No, you really have to poke and press.
Yeah, bring it out. Get them to talk
and
about it.
of course, the end of it was really when Sutton finally started making sense. And then they're like, all right, you guys are never going to agree. It's like, well, Dorit had like 10 minutes to go after Sutton.
And said nothing.
Unchecked. But yeah, now we should stop. Sure, whatever.
It's so dumb, dude. But we get to the 4th of July party at Dorit's, and Garcelle saying that Bose is Dorit's spokesperson. And I love that it keeps cutting back to Garcelle's face, and she's just so checked out at this point of the whole thing. But the argument from Sutton's camp is that it felt as though Bose didn't know the situation, came in a little hot, and was, 1, being Dorit's spokesperson, and 2, sure, it is problematic, and words are important when Sutton's in the after show, and she says that she seemed angry. Thus, Bose feeling she was labeled the angry black woman. It's a valid point, so I get where she's coming from there. The irony, of course, being that she's sitting next to Captain Microaggression. But
I was
going
going to call her the queen of microaggressions.
The queen?
Yeah.
Oh, Queen Captain.
I like
either
Captain
or.
Microaggression
Captain
a lot,
Microaggression.
yeah.
Dorit is like literally.
Who has, by the way, never apologized for any of that.
She apologized to.
She didn't really
at the
apologize. She
spa
sat
day.
down and said, she just sat there and said, I don't know. Like, we had multiple encounters with her and Garcelle where she just looked at Garcelle and said, I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually she did say, you know what, I need to learn from this, but still never really apologized and still never definitely learned from it.
Correct. I that's the thing. She saw an opportunity to give an apology, and Garcelle accepted it. That's all that. Like, it wasn't I didn't think it was heartfelt at the moment.
No.
I don't think it's heartfelt now. But it gets to Sutton's drinking, like the "What are you drinking?" comment, the watermelon thing, whatever. Is there alcohol in it? And then Dorit makes her joke. Watching this scene again, and it's so funny to me that what Dorit's argument was to Sutton, because watching it again, it's like, she called you a bitch. Like, it didn't even seem that harsh. It didn't seem like that big of a deal. The way Dorit took it was though Sutton stabbed her or something like that. Dorit's defense of that was, if you had just laughed it off, we would have been fine. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. Her reaction to your shitty joke wasn't what you wanted it to be, because you've been pushing this narrative of her being an alcoholic for years now. Yeah. And you can't at any point understand where Sutton's coming from, why that's problematic. You keep pushing this narrative of alcoholism. Let's go through the list of why this is problematic. 1, because you shouldn't do that about anybody if you don't know what their relationship with alcohol is. 2, did you not watch the season and see what her father went through with drugs, alcohol, and committing suicide? Dying by suicide? All of those things play in to Sutton's relationship with alcohol. And yet Dorit has not once been like, oh, it makes a little more sense now. Or, oh, that's probably a very sensitive subject given what your father went through. Maybe I should lay off of this one, instead of perpetuating a narrative of alcoholism for 2 years now. And then when I'm checked about it, I can't understand why Sutton's allowed to joke about it, but I can't. She's like, everyone makes jokes. It's like, clearly Sutton didn't hear those jokes, or she'd have something to say about it. And Sutton saying something like, I'm wearing vodka today, doesn't mean she's a raging alcoholic. No. It means she made a joke about herself. There's a massive difference, Dorit, between you inserting yourself into this situation and claiming that Sutton's an alcoholic, going on other people's Instagrams and leaving comments, #facts, because someone called Sutton an alcoholic.
Which, by the way, completely goes against you saying, oh, I was making a joke.
Correct.
That's not a joke anymore.
Nope. Because now you're going out of your way to do it on a random Instagram post.
Which she didn't really have to answer for.
No. Was not pressed for that either. So the favoritism still rings true. This side of the room, fuck these 2, fuck these 3. Let's focus on the other people in this cast. The hypocrisy is ridiculous. The fact that she can't just simply say, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I won't do it anymore. It's Sutton's fault for reacting the way that Sutton did. She should have laughed it off, Andy. And Andy doesn't say anything. And like, look, we love Andy.
Andy helped a tiny bit. He did say, like, it's a little problematic to be talking about something like that, but, like, he didn't really go to bat for her. And we've seen Andy go to bat for random people. We've seen Andy go to bat for actually good causes. This seems like a worthy cause that he could go to bat for.
I would think.
And look Dorit in the eyes and say, yeah, you just can't do that. Maybe you should stop doing that, something like that. And I will say the only person that, like, and it kind of happened at the end of the show. I don't even know if you caught it when Kyle made a comment about drinking. Sutton did laugh it off.
Oh, did she? That's because it's
okay,
Kyle.
Because it's fucking Kyle.
Because it's Kyle.
And that's the thing. And look, if Dorit had sat there and said, I've heard Kyle make a lot of jokes about it, and you laugh it off. I can't make a joke about it. Now, I'm still saying that Dorit wasn't making a joke. And even Bose said that, too. Yeah. Bose is like, yeah, no, it was meant to be.
She said that was pointed.
There was intent in that, yeah. So, of course, yeah, that's how we were going to take it, because that's how it was meant. But she still can't just sit there and say, you know what? I'll back off. Fine, sorry.
Yeah, I won't make jokes like that anymore. Sorry. Yeah. Can you not be such an asshole to me in the future? Great.
Well, it's just like a social thing that I guess Dorit never understood. Like, when people self-deprecate and they're making fun of themselves,
you don't get to jump
in. You don't
in.
Then retool the joke and go right back at them.
No.
Ever.
There's like 2 people in this world when I make an alcoholic joke about myself that can chime in. You're one of them.
Well, could you imagine somebody like eating a slice of pizza and being like, God, really shouldn't be eating this pizza. Like, I just feel like a fat piece of shit.
Yeah, well, you look like a fat piece of shit. Yeah, you look like a fat
That's what Dorit's doing.
No.
And, like, could you imagine somebody doing that in a social setting? No.
Because that's not what you're supposed to do.
That's not how this works.
Exactly. But she doesn't understand that, so it's just completely lost on her. And to the point that she's like making threats. This version of Dorit, my God, like settle the fuck
It's
down.
intolerable.
It's like, if I wanted to paint you as an alcoholic, I would do a lot worse. It's like, what a weird thing to say to
It's a
somebody.
strange thing to say.
What the fuck are you doing?
And it's not like it would have hit weirder if she had some semblance of an apology somewhere in there. Like,
She
you know what,
never
I will
did.
take a step back. Somehow it's kind of in line with what she's been doing. So it wasn't that surprising that she said this.
No, but
But still, when you look at that one sentence in a nutshell, who the fuck would ever say that?
Dorit, apparently. And she ends the whole thing with, because they're talking about when Lisa Barlow made a comment and like described Dorit as pretty, and Sutton commented, if you can afford it, anyone can be pretty. And which Dorit commented, why hasn't Sutton done it? That's a wash for me.
I think that's a full wash.
That's
yeah,
a full
Sutton
wash.
seemed to think that one went harder.
You hit way harder. It's like, no,
I
I
actually
think
think that Sutton hit harder.
yeah, I think I agree, because you threw the first stone.
started it. Yeah,
Right. So that's a wash to me right
Yeah.
there. But again, this emboldened Dorit's like, I'm going to hit harder. I'm like, you're not coming off the way you think you are.
No,
Nobody's intimidated by this. It's more so like, why have you been allowed to speak for so long? Why have we not moved
she
on to
already
the
did
next
like
topic?
the giant air quotes around money. By the way,
know.
like insinuating that Sutton doesn't have money.
Sutton
which
has all the
Sutton's-
money.
Yeah, a lot of money.
She has 2 baseball
Her
teams.
wallet is a lot bigger than yours. Let's be very honest.
Wallet's bigger
I
than
know
your
that's
house.
offensive to say.
Oh, God
It's gonna
forbid.
shock these women.
God forbid.
Talking about wallets here. You don't have any money.
Nope.
Oh wait, no, your house is back.
Oh, yeah, they got the
They
house
started
back.
paying again. Oh god.
Thank God. We got the house is not foreclosed on for at least another year. Way to go. You finally paid your fucking taxes. But let's keep trucking. We get to Sutton kicking women at her lowest. And again, we talked about this when it came up during the season. We are evidence-based here.
Mhm.
There was solid evidence presented. She seems to have a pattern of when someone's going through it, she asks some pretty harsh questions without any kind of sentiment behind
Yeah.
it. Like, she needs to ease into it a little bit more. But Tilly says it best, I think. She's like, look, I haven't witnessed it, but I have heard Sutton ask questions in a bad way.
Mhm.
Other people on the show do it as well. She highlights that part, but Sutton does go a little bit overboard with things.
She goes overboard, but Sutton, the way that she answers anything on reunions or when she's pressed, it always makes the situation so much more confusing for me.
I know, me too.
I never know what to think. And it's not like, wow, you've raised a really good point. I need to rethink this. It's like, I don't know what you're talking
It's
about
like,
anymore.
yeah, you're right. I'm just trying to do this. And you're like,
It's like she contradicts herself in one sentence
yeah.
where she's showing support and saying, I'm acknowledging that. But at the same time, she's not.
I'm acknowledging it, but I don't agree with you, but I do.
Yeah, that's pretty much what she said.
Yeah.
15 times in a row,
More or less.
going back and forth with Erika, and it left me way more confused about it. And then I had to pull myself out of the depths of hell
Sure.
to realize I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, no, it's
I
not-
just don't care
It
anymore.
doesn't really matter.
It's gotten so convoluted anymore, and I actually agree with Erika. I like Erika's stance on it was pretty much just, look, I said it to you. I've seen the evidence. You did it to me. You did it to Dorit. Sutton obviously talking about, when are we going to be over all of this? This is the first time that Erika's actually brought this up with evidence.
She meant more so like, dude, we had this conversation.
Yeah, she's like,
We
you accepted my
apologized.
apology.
And Erica's like, I did.
did.
That doesn't change the fact that I accepted your apology. This is pertinent to this specific
Correct.
instance that
You
we're
just did
talking
it to
about.
Dorit. So we're talking about it, and that's why I brought it up. And you couldn't handle yourself on the boat, so now you're all pissed off at me. But don't keep this about, me and you having a potential friendship. This is just about this situation. So Eric is like just trying, and this has got to be infuriating, just trying to get Sutton to understand. And Sutton's already spiraling, like going around. And not as bad as she was on the boat, but still like all over the place.
She's trying to maintain her composure, you can
Yeah.
tell. But yeah, she's getting rattled a little bit. And that's where we cut to Garcelle. It's like, what do you think about it? Sutton's reactions to people. And she's like, well, I agree, but I'm really pissed. And you know what? I don't want to answer any more questions. I'm like, yeah, I agree. And you know what? We don't need to.
It's the best response.
We don't.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I just, you know what? I'm done. I'm pissed.
I don't give a fuck.
Fuck.
I needed
whatever.
I needed this one over here to have my back, and she didn't, so I don't
Yeah.
give a fuck. I'm
Yeah.
done. I'm done with all of you. But Sutton admits to getting rattled by the group, and she goes through her list of reasons, which I did agree with. The group doesn't like me.
Yep.
Erika doesn't understand what Sutton's saying. She's like, what are you talking about? Like,
We don't understand what you're
it's
saying.
like, well, I get where she's coming from
I
because this
understand
is
where she started.
yeah, and
just
I'm
don't
not going to
understand
get
what you're
into
saying
the,
anymore.
I'm just going to go from where she started. It's like this group doesn't like me, and this is a great
Yeah.
indicator of what it's like when you're not part of the Kyle crew
Mm-hmm.
because you're constantly vying for a spot, a voice, a storyline, somebody to pay attention to you. You want to be in with the cool kids. The only one that didn't care was Garcelle, and Garcelle needed support on her end from Sutton,
Right.
from Tilly, from the ones that aren't part of the cool crew. And I do believe that the final straw was Sutton. I believe the lack of support from somebody that she thought was her best friend was the straw that broke the camel's back, because she realized, what am I doing this for if I'm not friends with any of these people?
Okay, so I'll just do my spin here.
Okay.
I think this was premeditated. I think Garcelle already knew this was her last reunion. I think Andy knew it too.
There's rumors about that.
Yeah, I think they both knew about it. I think that this was completely premeditated, and I do think she also missed the mark. I think she was supposed to leave earlier. I think that was a last ditch. Like, nope, I'm out. I'm out of here.
I see. I disagree. I think that you're watching like throughout the reunion, just her get more and more accepting of like, I really don't fucking care anymore.
Yeah, I look. I mean, we know about the contract talks. We know that there's some people out there saying that Bravo wasn't going to renew her. She was in negotiations. I don't believe that either. I think that she already knew that she was done. I think she already made that decision, and this could have been the final straw. This could have been the straw that broke the camel's back.
No. I meant that Sutton, like, you can say it was during the season even. Not in this moment. I think the final straw of her being like, fuck this show, whether it was premeditated or during the reunion, was that. I think it's
and that
through
happened
too many
on
things.
the cast trip was probably
Correct.
closer to the last straw. But
and then if she was like on the fence at all during the reunion, and then Sutton doesn't go to bat for her again, she's like, yeah, this is why I'm leaving.
And that's another thing that like could have easily happened, because we did get that scene in between, I think, the first and second episode of the reunion where Sutton goes to her trailer, to Garcelle's trailer. Sutton could have easily just said, look, like, I wish I could have had your back there, but I'm about to get skewered, and I was not thinking about you at all, and I wasn't trying to jump out there.
And that's my bad.
And I think that Garcelle, based on what we've seen, Garcelle would have been like, dude, I get it. Like, fuck them. She was already on the very long rant of fuck them, they're all assholes, I hate them, which, again, I wish she said in person, but, take what you can get. I think that if Sutton, and this show should just be called If Sutton Did. This could be a better show if she would just do what we would want her to do.
Or just be a little bit more concise.
Yeah.
Like when you're getting into it, don't get rattled by the group. But like that's not possible.
Which is impossible to say, yeah.
Yeah, but we get to Garcelle, and she's steaming, and he's like, why? And she's like, all of it, honestly. And like, I feel like Garcelle is us at home watching. It's like all of it.
Yeah, we can all say it.
There's no grace in this group. I stand by what I say. I take accountability, but it's not accepted by anybody. Not one person has looked at me and smiled while we've been here. And she just clearly felt this vibe shift. And she's like, it's fine. It's okay. And when people are like, no one's smiling, it's like, you know what she's saying.
Yeah.
She's saying acknowledge her. Acknowledge that she's part of this group. Acknowledge what she's saying. Because everyone else that has spoken, except for Sutton, has gotten somebody else to chime in on their behalf. Yep. You may not agree with what she's saying. You may not like what she's saying, but the fact that she continues to be treated like an outcast over and over again, it's just highlighted. This episode, and you know what? The reunion as a whole, because I said episode 1 of the reunion embodies exactly what this show has turned into. You put episode 1 and 3 together, this is why the show sucks.
It's exactly why the show sucks. And I think that most of the people that watch this show deep down do understand that.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot of people that are such big Fox Force 5 fans that only want to see them, that only care about them.
Then put them
when
on.
Outsiders come in, they're viewed even by the fans as outsiders.
I agree to that.
And they're looking at Sutton, they're looking at Garcelle, they're looking at, Tilly can be comedic relief, but they're still looking at Tilly like, no, you know what? And they looked at Crystal like that too, before Crystal left.
Correct.
So it's mostly just, I only want to see what these women are up to.
Correct.
Okay, then go do a show like that. We don't need these other women, that's fine. But I think that they would know that and they would understand that. And that has to be infuriating to be in a group like that, to be on a show like that, fully knowing, hey, the only real scenes that I'm going to get, the only real conversations I'm going to have are with my friend Sutton, are with Tilly, are with, the weird interactions that I might get with Kyle here and there. The rest of it's just going to be, look at what they're all up to. And then when everybody is together in the group, it always goes with, what's the big issue going on with the core 4 at this point?
Correct.
After that, nobody really cares.
No.
And us at home, we don't care because there's not enough going there. The rest of the women aren't getting involved in what Sutton's up to. The rest of the women aren't. That's why it was so weird in Augusta.
When Kyle was there, I know.
Everybody's like, whoa, this is a really good scene because Kyle's there, and now we actually care what Sutton's going through.
And Kyle was bought into that scene.
The amount of people that would have checked out of those scenes if it was just Garcelle and Sutton going.
I agree.
And how great, that was probably the most real that we've seen this show in 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
And they were great scenes. They were very personal. Sutton actually shared a lot. People still online Sutton doesn't share anything. What the fuck are you talking about? Are we watching the same show? No. You were watching it because Kyle was there.
Correct.
And that's kind of where this is. It's only important when somebody else is involved.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and it's why this show is trending the way that it's trending. But we get a quick reprieve talking about dating. The only thing worth noting there is Tilly only banged character actors and strange squishy comedians.
Fantastic.
She recast around her,
Mhm.
recast around Tilly. She embodies
I
what
still think she should
Housewives
just
used
get
to
her
be.
own show.
Just call it
Her life is enough that
Silly with Tilly.
yeah,
Boom,
it could be such an easy like half an hour segment.
dude,
You
awesome.
could do like 10 episodes a year. Just what is she up to?
Follow her.
Yeah,
She's
follow her
playing
around.
poker in the Viper Room at 4 a.m. Fuck yeah.
That's
Where's she
awesome.
at? She's on the red carpet. Hell yeah. Where's she at now? She's at her haunted house in Malibu. Hell yeah.
She's in Italy buying crazy jewelry.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Great.
That's what we want. We want wealth.
Yeah. Bring it back to
Not
Housewives.
these broke women. I'm so over it. Get rich again. You guys are all too poor for me.
Make Housewives rich again. But we get to Erika Jane. And here's my thing. Okay. My thing with her, my thing with Kyle, my thing with Dorit. This it's the same things that we talked about last year
Yep. And the year before.
and the year prior. And now we're just like, is this a cherry on? None of this is new information.
No, it's
like,
not.
She finished her run on Chicago. Awesome. Like, genuinely, that's really cool. It's kind of this full circle moment.
We see anything about that?
Nope, not a goddamn thing. We saw her standing next to a billboard. It would have been cool to see her run on Chicago. That would have been pretty goddamn interesting. We see that her son testified in the ASAP Rocky case. Now, her son doesn't want to be part of the show, so we respect
fine.
that.
We'll leave that
No
alone.
issues there. But we're just talking about, Tom's conviction. We touch on Chuck E. Cheese for 2 seconds, and she wasn't sure if it was a joke or not, or they're making fun of her, which I kind of get that.
Kind of fair. Yeah, I laughed at that one.
The pizza party behavior was funny, and then we get into what we've been listening to for a while. I'm emerging as a nicer person now, and I'm still not divorced. That was like the lowest of my problems. But let's talk about Tom's conviction. Like,
Again, yeah.
why?
And there's just nuggets of information just floating in here. Like her talking about how, yeah, I did think about going to see Tom, but it wouldn't do me any good because he's not the same person that I knew. So it really wouldn't matter. I'll see him after he passes, as sad as that is. That's a good little sentence. But it's mixed in with a bunch of shit that we've already heard.
Yep.
Her talking she was talking for like 10 minutes straight. There was no real information in there. It was just like updates. And not one time did we talk about what she did this season. You go through every single person on that cast, they had a clip of this person doing something during the season, and it was a big talking point. You get to Erika, and we're talking about her therapist. We're talking about the pizza party. Those were her 2 funny moments. The rest of it, nothing.
that was it.
We
Because
didn't
she was
talk.
redecorating her house.
Andy didn't say, how's the house? Is it redecorated fully? Does it look really nice? No, because we don't care. So why did you make us watch that for 6 episodes? That's the worst part. Like, it doesn't make any sense. If we're not going to talk about what you did on the show at the reunion, then why did we have to watch that? It's just filler.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make
It
sense.
don't make no sense.